it was like, Homare, please, come on.
I know
like
he's got shiny pants. But
Oh god, he has such shiny pants.
Oh, that's the funny thing. They made a Dakimakura of him.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Like,
He's certified hot.
Official hairy Dakimakura.
What? He's certified hot, guys.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of the Annie Chat Box, where five friends snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. I'm your host today, Dominic, and today I've got with me in the other room, Craig.
What's up, Internet? How's it going?
And out in the living room, we have Cassie.
I'll have you know this is also my office space.
That makes us sound poor. And on the other
does.
side of the continent, we have Cammy.
I want to turn into a magical girl who can punch evildoers and yeet them into the universe.
That's a worthy goal for anyone to have.
I love you.
And over in the UK, we've got John.
Hello. I got nothing.
I kind of figured after that just plain hello, but, you know.
So is
points-
Cammy allowed
points
to
for
say yeet, but I'm not allowed to say yeet?
No, Cammy can say yeet.
Cammy can say yeet. You're not allowed to say yeet.
God damn it.
But I like it when Cassie says yeet. Cassie and I have to transform into the ultimate magical girl duo so we can yeet villains into the sky.
You can yeet somewhere else.
They said yeet!
Cassie.
They said yeet! They said it!
I've said it.
I don't get.
already said it.
I don't get the celebration.
I don't either. I already
You don't
said
have
it
to
before
understand.
It's okay,
Anyways.
it's okay.
So, today we're going to be doing a review, but we also have a main topic provided to us by our lovely Cammy. That topic being merits we find in watching children's anime, and for example, shows that are aimed at younger audiences, but can hold value for adults as well.
And would you like to explain why you were very eager to touch on this topic, Dominic?
Me? Eager? Never.
The most eager
No,
of the beavers.
I'm not a beaver. Beavers look gross.
Oh no, beavers can be super cute.
No. Anyways, so have you ever seen Angry Beavers? Mm-mm.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
maybe not the angry beavers, but I've seen some cute little regular beavers in my time. They're
No,
cute.
they all look like the Angry
I
Beavers.
mean, that is a children's
This
cartoon.
This is my headcanon. But yeah, to get back on the actual topic that has nothing to do with the Angry Beavers. I was excited to talk about this because I consider myself at least slightly attuned to knowing things about anime for children, which sounds incredibly pathetic when I say it like that.
Damn, dude.
But, yeah. So, and one thing I was kind of doing in college was writing a paper about this sort of topic. It didn't go anywhere because I stopped going to college, but I do think that I have thoughts on this sort of thing. And so, I've been watching Precure since late 2012, I believe that is when I started. And since then, and before then I was watching like robot shows and stuff, you know, other toy commercials and that sort of thing. And then now I watch stuff like Aikatsu, and I dip my toes in a bunch of other little things. But so, one thing I've noticed is that kids anime, outside of like a very small subset of people who are like either into like Sakuga or like, oddly enough, like people who like do anime blogs and stuff, like children's anime tends to be like very overlooked, I think, by the large portion of Western anime viewers. And I think that's kind of a shame because honestly, if I'm being like 100% serious, I generally get a lot more enjoyment out of it than most late night anime. So yeah, that is the main reason I tend to be kind of excited talking about this, because I think it's interesting to talk about why these shows are actually, worth looking at. And hopefully when we actually get into our show of the day, our actual review, we'll look at a lot of the aspects that make it a particularly good choice as a show that is, pretty valuable for adults as well as kids. Because, it's intended for kids.
Yeah, honestly, I thought that this topic would be fun to discuss because I think in watching the show that we will be talking about today, it was really one of the first times that I was watching an anime that I was like, I can tell this is for younger children, but also because of that, I really, really love the messages that this show is sending to younger children. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it was a really interesting perspective because I was like, yes, I appreciate these messages, but I'm also just very moved by the fact that these positive messages are being sent to children today. And that was a cool retrospect that I hadn't experienced before, because the only other times typically that I'd watched anime that was for younger audiences was like, growing up with a lot of like magical girl shows and stuff. Some of them, they did have younger protagonists, but I was still in high school and I was immature as a high schooler, so I think it still
Who
fit
wasn't really?
Yeah, like I think it still fit my mental state at that point.
Well, I think that also goes to show just how important children's anime is for children as well, because it can get you into the medium. Whether that's a good or bad thing, we could actually really discuss as well. But
It's a bad thing. Oh, yeah, it's bad.
But I mean, I grew up watching things like Digimon, which I'm pretty sure is meant for a younger audience, and Cardcaptor Sakura and Sailor Moon, and most of those I feel like even now and today would probably cater more towards a younger or I guess early teen audience. But I still love the shit out of those shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's important to kids to get into this beautiful medium that we love and keep you stuck there forever.
And ever. And yeah, you're not going to get out of it.
Get out of the anime hole.
And honestly,
Yeah.
some of the positive messages that some of these series have, some of those messages, I think adults could do with seeing these messages as well. Like, a lot of them have, like, something along the lines of, okay, you had this dream, it didn't work out, find another one. And, like, it's never too late to start again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or another thing that I really like in a lot of these shows is when children are able to teach adults something as well. I really like that. I like that sort of push of, just because you're younger doesn't mean your voice and your thoughts and your feelings aren't valid. They have power to change things. That's pretty amazing.
Kids can make decisions or be smarter than adults give them credit for. For example, one topic that I'm sure we'll touch on with the show we're reviewing today is gender and how people perceive themselves and who can be a magical girl and who can't. And growing up, I feel like a lot of us felt like, oh, magical girls are reserved for girls, and they aren't. And that's something that this show in particular does really well and is really in tune to the political climate currently. So it just goes to show something that's targeted towards kids. Kids can grab onto that and learn really important lessons that sometimes adults make them seem like they don't understand or don't have a voice in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it also says something that some of the most universally popular and well-acclaimed works of anime, you look at all of Studio Ghibli's features and Hayao Miyazaki's, which always have kids as the protagonist, and for the most part are also very kid-friendly.
Oh, yeah.
And there's kind of a universal appeal and a way to present messages to people of all ages through that way. So that's also really cool. There's no barriers, per se.
Although thinking about Hayao Miyazaki's movies, he never claimed to be making kids' movies. They just happen to be child-friendly, generally anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Princess Mononoke is maybe not so child-friendly.
Depends, yeah. Depends.
I thought that shit was raw in middle school.
Hey, I think
yeah.
my brother was the same way, actually. He had it on, like, VHS tape. And I was, like, 8 years old, and I was like, hey, what's this Princess Mononoke? It sounds good. But I didn't watch it until I was, like, 14.
Yeah, I saw it. I think they like aired it on Toonami at one point.
Yep.
When I was in middle school. And then like there's that part where he shoots off that dude's arm, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I remember coming across criticism about Princess Mononoke, and it's like, "You're supposed to be making children's movies." I never said I was making children's movies. You just made that up on your own.
I actually spoke recently to the student teachers that came in for my boyfriend's job, and they in Israel weren't exposed to a lot of anime films, but when I showed a poster of Spirited Away, the girl was like, oh yes, I saw this when I was a kid, and I think it traumatized me. All she remembered was the parents turning into pigs, and she talked about how much that scared her growing up. But that's another thing that I also really like, even if, again, like Miyazaki's films aren't always intended towards kids, I'm a pretty big fan of the idea that children's media can be challenging. Yeah, because I do think that there are parts of Spirited Away that are very scary, but it's a very strong story, and it's awesome that it is seen as, yeah, this might be unsettling, but kids can handle it. Kids can be brave, just like Chihiro in this movie. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. There's a review, or like not a review, an interview. That's the word I was looking for. Surprisingly, of Gen Urobuchi.
Oh wow!
From in a big thing about Kamen Rider, because this is like shortly before he did Kamen Rider Gaim.
Oh, nice.
And they were like interviewing him about all his thoughts on all the older shows and stuff. And he's talking about one of the first ones that aired in this, or in the last, I guess, Japanese era, which is Kuga. And that show is like kind of set up like a cop drama sort of way, but it's still, it's still a kid's show. And the monsters and stuff are like these serial killers that go around murdering like slews of people. Anyways, and he talks about how he loves that show, and that show kind of like scared children. Mm-hmm. Because of this concept of like, oh, these people you see on the streets could be
dead.
These murderous like monsters that are going around killing all these people. And he makes this comment about how he thinks that's good. It's good for there to be like I forget exactly the wording, but he like worded it as like a poison in media. For kids to to understand that there are these more complicated or darker elements to the world than
if you just pretend the world is all happy sunshine and rainbows, then they're gonna come out into the world kind of unprotected and unguarded.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but I thought that particular interview was interesting with regards to children's media, as well as considering he ended up working on the series shortly afterwards. But yeah, he made that comment, and I like that. I like that the show he was talking about quite a lot too, because it is this kids show about a superhero going around punching monsters, but at the end of the day, it does have this more complex like message and theme, to it, and story to it. And I think that's kind of like the cool thing about children's like media or anime is like, when you're making something like specifically for adults, you can do whatever the hell you want. And I think that larger scope, even though you have this larger scope to work with, you're actually that much more limited, because there's like way too much that you can do. It's hard to find a specific focus or to think too much outside of the box, because your box is already so big. When you're working with something, like I mentioned kind of how I like media that's built with limitations when we're talking about Thunderbolt Fantasy, like forever ago. I think that was like one of the first episodes I was ever on. But I think media with limitations, if you have this limitation of, okay, this is like, for instance, a kid's show, you have that limitation. There's only so much you can do before things get out of hand, before someone comes in and tries to, tell you, no, you can't do that, which might seem bad, but I think this idea that if you have this limitation and then you're allowed to build outside that in ways that having a limitation encourages you to build outside of that in ways you might not be able to if you think that your scope is already so large. If that makes any sense.
No, that's really cool. It kind of makes you put more thought and intention into how you build and display things that you want to show and what you want to tell. That's really cool. Yeah, and I love that interview piece too. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was something. Yeah, I completely forgot about it until John mentioned that. Or Cammy mentioned that. I'm forgetting who was talking now because I was talking for so long.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think the other thing to touch on about kids media that's good for adults is it can be just kind of healing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
After a long day at work, to sit down and just watch a kid's show.
Yeah, a lot of media that is aimed at an older audience tends to have like, grim dark, the world sucks, and in the end it's gonna suck, and you're not necessarily gonna get the happy ending that you want. Whereas kids media, like, if it doesn't have a happy ending, it's probably kids media generally has a happy ending in some form or another. That
isn't even what I was reaching for. I wasn't saying it has to be happy. I'm just saying that, there's this
positivity.
There's this positivity because there's stuff that's pretty deep or raw in children's media. I mean, hell, I remember there were some scenes in Digimon as a kid that really messed me up, and so there were some unhappy endings in Digimon and other shows. So I'm not saying children's media is devoid of unhappy or uncomfortable topics. If anything, most shows that bring those things up, I value a lot more because it's not treating children like they're unable to deal with those things. But there is a high chance that when you turn something on, there's a lot more positive messages, even coming out of those dark moments in kid shows. You're basically almost guaranteed to have some sort of moment. For example, there's a moment in Hugtto Precure where Hana is going through a pretty interesting depressive episode and has a conversation with her mother that I found really empowering.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I meant more along that line. Not necessarily that it's always going to be happy ending, happy sunshine rainbows. Yeah. Because I'm also now remembering scenes from Digimon and Hugtto Precure, which were a lot heavier than the overall tone of the series, but those help the positive tones, positive moments feel even more impactful as well.
Craig, as someone who has just over the past year, 2 years,
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Been on this endeavor of going through so many shows, all these Precure shows that are, again, marketed as shows towards children. I really want to know kind of your thoughts on this topic as well. Like, what are some of the huge merits that you've really found in, going through these, like, this media intended for kids consistently throughout, your tough days, your long work days? Like, what do you find joy in through that?
Well, firstly, I posted this on Twitter, but I blame Dom for getting me into this hellhole. I was initially drawn into this based on character designs and, like, their attacks and whatnot. Because by then, I was already into anime-adjacent media, such as Kamen Rider.
Anime-adjacent media.
Yes. And for all intents and purposes, that and Sentai, Kamen Rider and Sentai are geared towards kids as well. But the more I got into the Precure fandom, I realized, while they are markedly for, like, kids being 7 years old, as you all said, they can have actually deep, compelling thoughts. What drives me through all of the franchise is just how well the girls are written, how they're able to overcome adversity, and as well as like actually take like I guess let me think here, and Happiness Charge, the central theme of that is falling in love and then having to cope with like, oh, maybe it's unrequited love sort of thing, and then you gotta like actually go through that. And for kids, you're like, oh, that's actually pretty cool, and you can encourage and help others in the process while also beating up bad guys. And that's why I like Precure as a whole, is because each show has a theme and a motif, and they have like overcoming adversity. And it's only better when the villains are actually really compelling and fun to actually have their diametrically opposed like ideals against the main characters.
That is also a good message, that like the unrequited love part, because thinking about it, even though a lot of media are aimed at adults, they tend to be like, oh, this is my first love, and now we're getting married and live happily ever after. It's like, yeah, but what's the chances of that actually happening? Very slim.
That's true. Being unrequited love is something that I think a lot of children will experience, and it's nice to address that as something that is valuable, even if the result isn't, what you're hoping for.
Yeah.
I just can't believe we've been here this long and Dominic hasn't said a word about Aikatsu.
Ooh.
Huh? I mean, Aikatsu's great.
That's it? That's all you got?
I think I've already, sung Aikatsu's praise to high heaven. I think the thing about Aikatsu is that it's a little bit different from Precure in terms of how it handles like themes or conflicts and stuff, because there's not like a monster to fight or anything every week. I think the thing Aikatsu does really well is sort of show kids, this sort of working environment and how it can change and how it can be enjoyable, and how you can generally just sort of follow your dream in a sort of very, this is hard to say, a very like, the word is escaping me.
Realistic?
Positive?
No, not
nuanced.
No.
Stop throwing words at me.
Now you guys are just throwing me off track. It's got a very honest approach to how it shows, it primarily deals with show business, acting, singing, that sort of field of work. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, I feel like it's a bit misleading, but also it's just so incredibly honest with its positivity, and I think that in itself is pretty great.
I think one of the things that I also love about Precure and Aikatsu, from what I've seen so far, is that they unapologetically appreciate being feminine.
They do, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that both of those franchises do a really good job of being like, hey, we know primarily girls are watching. Hey, guess what? Those feminine traits that everybody tries to say make you weak? Nah, they make you powerful, bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they can be empowering towards boys as well, but I think that both franchises know that they're targeted towards young girls, and they want to slip those messages in specifically for young girls who are going to be growing up in a very harsh world where you are pretty much categorized by your femininity in both good and bad ways. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, that is a really good way of putting it that my monkey brain didn't come up with. So,
I got you, boo. I got you.
Yeah, to touch on the how each series has its it's primarily focused towards girls, but there's also a little bit for boys too. I feel like, especially in recent years, Precure used to not really have that at all. I think the further down you go with Precure, like in terms of like early seasons, there's very little for boys at all, which is totally fine because I think the older shows, like when they were made, it was like everything was for boys. So let's just have something specifically for girls. But I think with the newer shows, the male characters tend to have a little bit more depth to them. They tend to play better roles, at least in terms of support roles, which is nice.
Yep.
And Aikatsu generally, like, they're the second Aikatsu series has an entire like boy idol group or whatever, and the newest series doesn't have anything like that, but it does have a lot of males and like support roles who support the girls and everything in particularly interesting but also untraditional ways. Aikatsu Friends, one of the main makeup artist for all the girls is this cool guy named Ken, and he has this like student who's this, you know, other male who also really wants to get into makeup. So it's stuff like that like encourages boys to sort of embrace, you know, like traditionally non-masculine like things in a way that's healthy and good for them. So that's cool.
Yeah. When I was listening to Cassie, there was actually one other piece that I wanted to touch on with children's media. And I think, especially in stark comparison to things I've watched where you have like high school or adult leads, a lot of like children's anime really makes a point to say that it is okay to feel your feelings. There's so many like shows that I've watched that lead to melodrama because characters like feel that they can't express themselves, they have to bury their feelings, and they keep it secret until basically shit hits the fan and everybody's like crying and hating each other and things. But especially in like Hugtto Precure, like the girls just felt allowed to feel their feelings, and I really like that message, especially because like children and then even just like, you know, younger adolescents feel so much, and it's really good and it's important to get those feelings out there. So that's another message I really like.
Yeah, there are a lot of series aimed at older audiences where it can get pretty frustrating to watch because they're just not talking about what's going on and not expressing themselves properly, and it becomes really frustrating. Isn't that right, gamers?
Well, and unfortunately, I also do think that becomes a part of life as people get older as well. Unfortunately, that's like a societal message. So I'm glad it's not pushing down on kids in kids anime.
Yeah, it's
messages to say.
Messages to kids like, okay, it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to have these feelings.
And that's another reason why I think it's good for adults to kind of watch this kind of stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's good to get away from the things that are constantly like telling you that no, you can't. You have to push that stuff down. You can't express that sort of thing to something that is, you know, honestly kind of liberating in that way of, you know, hey, you have feelings and it's okay to talk about them and express them.
Yep. And going back to what Cammie said, I don't think it's a problem necessarily in adult or young adult media that people are having a hard time talking to each other because, like she said, that's a part of life and that's why we find it so identifiable. But if you learn from a young age to learn how to properly even just compartmentalize your feelings, then and figure out where what it is you are feeling and thinking, and knowing that you can go and talk to an adult or talk to a friend or punch a fucking bad guy or whatever you got to do, then that's good. That's a great message for kids.
Yeah.
I want to punch a bad guy.
Children's media.
Speaking of punching bad guys, want to talk about our show, which you punch bad guys in?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if the 27 different mentions of it in our main topic weren't enough, y'all want to talk about Hugtto Precure.
Oh, do I? Yes, I do.
Let me get the info.
I've been waiting for months.
I've been waiting for this.
I've been waiting for this.
Oh my god.
So, our review for today is Hugtto Precure by the studio Toei Animation. Other shows by them include Lovely Complex, Digimon Adventure, and Kyoso Giga. The synopsis from my anime list is as follows. Nonohana is an 8th grade student who wants to be a stylish and mature big sister-like figure. She always puts on a lovely smile and loves to search for exciting things. One day, Hana meets a baby named Hugton and her guardian fairy named Harry, who had fallen from the sky. At that exact moment, an evil organization called Dark Tomorrow suddenly appeared, and they're trying to forcefully take Hugton's Mirai crystal. In order to protect Hugton... translator note, Mirai means future. In order to protect Hugton, Hana wishes to do something to help her, and her wish is granted. And as she gains a Mirai crystal and transforms into Kyriel, the world is overflowed with Tomorrow Power. Tomorrow Power.
Didn't they just sub it as like Asu Power or something like that?
I mean, yeah, Tomorrow is a decent way to translate, but why Power? Why is it
Power?
I swear in the first episodes I heard them saying Asu Pawawa, so I wonder if it's like
maybe yeah. But Tomorrow Power, which is the power to create a brilliant tomorrow. Wow, thank you. Which is crystallized into the Mirai crystals. If it's stolen, everyone's future will not exist. To protect Hugton and everyone's future, Kyriel will do her best. So yeah, that's the general synopsis. There's a lot more to it than that. That's the thing with the Precure synopsises on Mal. They always make it sound very, very like
basic,
dry and boring.
Yep.
Yeah. But, so, yeah, let's talk about the story and how it is not that boring.
Fure, fure, mina. Fure, fure, watashi.
Mechoku.
Do not put an open challenge at life. Life will throw a time-traveling baby at you.
Oh my god. I mean, you're not wrong.
I would rather not have a time-traveling baby. Or any baby, really.
I'd be terrified if a baby just materialized for the ether. And
to start... Oh, go ahead.
No, and just basically, I'd be terrified if a baby just materialized and flew straight into my bedroom with a talking hamster.
I mean, I would probably welcome it, but I'm a different kind of person.
She fucking would.
I would be so excited.
I'm glad that shit is impossible. So,
as far as you're aware.
Oh my.
But rolling into the story of Hugtto Precure, I think what's great about it is that it's very much a kid's show, but it's extremely complex, especially in regards to its characters. They all get these kind of arcs, and they continuously go through the entire show. So you don't always have to think, oh, the show's always going to be about Nonohana, even though when it is, it's pretty fucking great. But it's really about all the girls and all their trials and tribulations, and I think there's a lot of really cool themes that are addressed in this show, such as gender identity, depression, bullying, just to name a few. There's some really dark and deep themes that some of these girls have to really internalize and learn how to deal with. I think one of the first characters that really had me interested was Homare and her struggles with knowing what she wanted to do for the future. And it's like, baby girl, you're so young. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
But she doesn't know that. She lives in the moment and what her feelings are at that point in time. And if that doesn't symbolize youth in its very essence, I don't know what else does. And that's displayed in all of the girls. As you go throughout, and I really loved it a whole lot. That I'm having a Dominic moment where I'm having a trouble finding words to express exactly how I feel because I'm so overwhelmed.
Cassie really loves the show.
I love the show a whole lot. I've got posters on the wall. I got keychains.
She's got in a bigger fireplace. We have an entire line of literally every the small little
chibi figurines,
gachapon figurines that you can get. Yeah,
Don't you?
there's like we have like all of them for this show.
Yeah, don't you have
Because
like
Cassie loves them
figures
that much.
of all the girls, both in their regular outfits and their
Regular outfits,
Precure outfits?
their Precure outfits, the super forms.
Yep.
There's like Hana has like 2 as a Precure. There's like 20 of them up there.
I love them so much. But I think that it's not just because I latched onto the characters, which I will talk about ad nauseum when we get to it. But again, those central themes that just continue to build on and on and on to each other as it goes along was just so nice and great and refreshing. And I just saw things in a magical girl show that I never thought I would ever see there. And it just made me so overwhelmed with feelings and emotions and need to buy things that I've never felt before.
That means they succeeded on all cylinders.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Papa Toei's got you in his pocket now.
Yeah, they got you wanting to buy things. That's the end goal here.
Yeah. I spoke briefly to Cassie about this after watching, or I think I was almost done with the show, but I definitely have to agree with her that there are so many progressive and like almost revolutionary messages in this show that I think maybe they either weren't tackled in magical girl shows prior, or if they were, it was like buried under, I don't know, censorship and like reason not to bring the topics to the forefront. And I love that this show does. And it goes throughout the story and reached highs that like I never would have anticipated. There were many times in the show where I was like, whoa, they just did that. Oh my gosh. And I was also floored with like emotion and happiness in what was shown. And I think that for anybody that has an interest in magical girls, like this is the magical girl show of this era of like the last 10 years that you have to watch. Like to me, it has pushed itself as a staple in the genre because it does so many new things.
Another thing that, in regards to the story that I feel like we have to talk about, and I know that there are varying opinions on this, but I do like how the show used the theme of motherhood throughout for the most part. A lot of people got really uncomfortable with that, and they're like, oh, hey, Shinzo Abe, I see you. I see you. But I think that they used motherhood. But I think they had I think they made motherhood sound empowering. More so than, hey, this is just what you got to do because you're a girl or whatever.
Yeah, I was very skeptical when the show was, first unveiled, because usually like months before a show, like a Precure show actually airs, you get all the leaks.
Yep.
Where all the character designs come out. They announce
toys.
They announce toys. They announce the like the basic synopsis. And so when it was first showed, it was like, okay, we have the 3 main Precures. Their general costume theme is cheerleader,
nurse,
nurse, and like airplane attendant, which are, I mean, those are all pretty like stereotypical
girl,
like female jobs right there. And then you have, oh, by the way, there's also this baby that they have to take care of. And
remember the last time they had to do that?
And the theme is motherhood. So this like threw up like 20 different red flags with like everybody that follows Precure like relatively closely. But I will say that despite that very surface level like impression, the show actually does handle the motherhood thing. The approach to one big thing about this show is that it does a lot to empower women in the workforce, I think, or the idea that women can do whatever the hell they want in the workforce, for children to, try and do whatever they want. So it approaches that despite the theme of the actual transformations. Despite that, it does approach that in a very well done way. So, and I think most people that were also I remember a lot of people were really skeptical about it on Twitter, that once the show actually, hit its stride, they were like, oh yeah, this is actually like really well done. And it goes to show that the writer, the character designer, I believe at least 1 or 2 of the producers are all female. So And I remember, like, that was a big thing, like, in terms of interviews, that they wanted to really have this very, like
Female
like, this is
perspective.
female perspective on the show in terms of how it approaches these things.
Yep.
So it's pretty good in that regard. Definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. What was it? Like, I think for a while, like, initially I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna like Hugton's like presence in the show, but like I really liked Hugton as well, like by the end, it's just made herself a good part of the cast. And like, I'm not someone who is always instantly like sentimental to things involving like babies and motherhood and stuff, but like the show definitely got me a few times. I was like, all right, yeah, you did it really well. Okay, I got it. I'm here. I feel feelings.
Fine. I'll begrudgingly shed a tear, whatever.
a little bit. But even then, it was just like, the story, I think, does a really, really good job of delivering its messages so sweetly that, like, it was begrudging, but I was also like, oh, but I also just love you, show, and you're doing your good stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
It's also interesting in that when the show started up, basically everyone was like, oh, remember Doki Doki Precure? Remember that, baby? Oh, God, why do we need to do this again? And
just for anyone who doesn't know, this is not the first
baby
Precure to have a baby. It's happened at least twice before.
Oh, yeah, with Fresh, too,
but
right?
Fresh. The thing is that this and Doki have very human-looking babies. Fresh has like a fucking animal baby thing.
Yeah, she fun.
But the thing is unlike those prior two shows, I will say that Hugtto probably has the best baby.
Yep.
The best little bundle of toy.
Best little baby.
The best baby. To the point where it's just like, in the first couple episodes, I was like, man, is this just going to be needing rescuing all the time? And then at a certain point, the baby's just kind of in the background and kind of just is there to cheer people on. And I'm like, okay, thank you. You're not entirely a plot device. Well, yeah.
They also connected motherhood in like various ages as well. Like, I think it would have bothered me more if it was always motherhood about a baby, but like you have moments like with Hana and her mom and see how like she's still supporting her.
Yeah.
And I like that message about like how motherhood carries through life and like into the future. That was really cool.
Another really cool message that I liked is that most of the villains in the show are afraid of time.
Oh, yeah.
And they're almost all adults. And
they're almost all like adults. And the thing is, it's like centered around a company with working adults,
Yeah, so and then the people who are saving them or helping them see that there's a brighter future are children. I think that that's a really cool way of doing things.
Yeah.
And really would be another thing that adults, I think, could take away from watching this show. Like, one, that good old message that children are our future, but like actually leaning into what that means. And also showing, hey, just because you're an adult and you're working that 9 to 5 and every day feels awful, just remember, there are brighter days. And someday, a Precure will save you from your troubles.
And again, the message I mentioned earlier, like, okay, this isn't working out too well for you, but you can still go for it. You can still discover another dream, and you can still go for that other dream. You still have opportunities, even as an adult.
Yeah, I think that's one of the one good, like, above most other shows or Precure shows that Hugtto does is give like a meaning or like a theme to like the actual villains. Yeah. Because the villains like come like they're not just there as villains. They have like a point to center, like to forward the show's like actual themes about, like, you can do anything, you can be anything, you don't, just because you're older and you're at a part of your life that you're not happy with, you can still go on and do other things. This isn't the end all be all.
Yep.
Which is really great.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just to add on to that really quickly, and then I'm so sorry, Cammie. But I also like that most of the show is that sort of, oh my god, adults are all feeling upset and we gotta fix them. But they also focus halfway through the show on a character that I am not going to spoil, but how time can also be absolutely terrifying for children or people who are going through adolescence because of how their body changes or how their perspective of themselves is going to change. So they do this really cool halfway through that go, hey, you know, adults, I know you feel like you're the only one struggling with this shit, but Exhibit A.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Cammie. I'm sorry.
No, you are good. We are all very passionate here, and I love it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, all I was gonna say with like the villains especially too is like this show easily could have just written them off. Like easily could have just been these are the cynical villains. They, you know, then they leave, but it doesn't. It, you know, it's thoughtful in how it handles like all of its messages, honestly, which I'm just so impressed by.
It's actually pretty common for them to just write the villains off, or the villains to just you know, have a battle and then die. Or get purified and turned into like a little animal and they scamper off or some shit. Hugtto goes above and beyond to not do that.
Awesome.
Nice.
The best Precure series, in my opinion, are the ones that actually have villains with personality. Like, that will actually, again, have ideals that are diametrically opposed to the girls, but also come to realize that their side is probably wrong, and they can accept that. Let's just maybe look at their perspective from a different angle. Be like, oh, okay, well, I guess since I finished Happiness Charge recently, one of the villains likes to eat sweets all the time, but Cure Honey says, oh, well, you should probably eat more than just candy all the fucking time. And the girl's like, yeah, maybe I should. Stuff like that.
Maybe I should take care of myself.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to quickly mention how this even extends to the big bad, because again, it could have easily also gone that it was just this maniacal, evil, mustache twirling bad guy, bad person that is just taking advantage of these adults that are down on their luck. But no, even when they actually get around to their point of view about things, they don't outright spell everything out, but they give enough hints that you can pick up on why they are acting the way they are and what their motivations are, and they caught me by surprise as well.
Nice.
I was like, don't make me feel for the big baddie. I want to just punch him in the face.
Yeah.
There was a lot of punching.
There was still a lot of punching.
Every week, in fact.
God, yeah, tough magical girls who are actually beating things up. That was like the huge first thing for me. I was like, this is fucking great.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like that was the thing. Like when I first got into Precure, it was like, oh, like these girls actually like fight. They like fight and stuff. Like, and it's like, and it was funny because I remember like I eventually, after I'd watched a decent amount of Precure, I started watching Sailor Moon.
And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like for the first time since I was like a child, and then I was like, oh, they don't
do anything.
They don't fight.
Like they don't fight at all. Like they throw a little like special attack out and that's it. And then you have Precure and it's like, we're gonna like literally bash your fucking face in.
Yes.
And it's great.
I remember there's an episode where Hana like picks up a fucking like whatever they used to build buildings, those like iron bars,
I
and
think
just
yes.
like fucking like
Or
went to
girder
town
or
with
whatever.
it.
I
Yeah,
think
she's just-
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, and Dominic was like, yeah, Precure's good again, and I was like, okay.
Because the season before this had like made it a kind of a point to not have any like physical like actual fighting for like the first fucking time in Precure's history.
No, Cure Pre.
Because like in 2015 we had Go Princess, which was like very physical, like punch the bad guys, and then I guess the villains and like the fight scenes, like they like surveyed a small pool of children, and then some of them were like, "Oh, the villains were kind of spooky and the fight scenes scared us." So they were like, "Okay, we gotta not do that for the next Precure."
For the next 2 Precures
then-
after.
Yeah, and then the next one that followed had minimal fighting, and then the Hugtto Precure a la mode, which came after, had like no physical contact. They like would shoot like stuff out of their wands. That was how they fought.
Yep.
And it was sucked. And then Hugtto comes after that and is like, "No, fuck that. These girls are gonna punch and they're gonna be empowering and it's gonna be great." And I was like, "Thank you.
You want a magical
This is
spell?
what we need.
I cast Fist.
Thank you. Thank you for your punching. Thank you for your service, madam. May I have another?
Yes, exactly.
I think I
And luckily,
Oh, go ahead.
I just was gonna say, and luckily that has stayed with the current airing Precure.
Ooh, good to know. I need to watch more of that. I think the other thing I was so impressed with in this show is that it technically like does in a lot of episodes do a monster of the week, but the thing is, the monster of the week doesn't have to take up the entire episode. And that's a problem that I've seen in a lot of magical girl shows. Again, if you go back to OG Sailor Moon, the entire arc of every episode is about rando character that turns into monster of the week. There were many episodes of Precure that had to do with like the main character's arcs or something, and then the monster's like a random person on the side of the scenario that just feels bad, and boom, there's your Oshimaida. And I liked that because it made the storytelling be able to be impactful and focus on the main things that it wanted to tell without getting like bogged down by the fighting monsters aspect.
Yeah, like you could have the standard monster of the week format, but still have like a continuous plot flowing throughout that, which is Hugtto actually, like, that's something that's been building up for a few seasons now, but Hugtto actually does that extremely well, I thought.
Or some
Oshimaida.
Oshimaida!
Or sometimes the villain of the week, the Oshimaida, would actually tie into like what was going on. The girls would be conveniently there, and they'd be like, "Okay, I guess we're fighting this guy now. You fucked." Like Precure as a whole kind of like does that, where it's just like, "Oh, you interrupted our thing. We'll never forgive you." Transforms and kicks ass. They say we'll never forgive you a lot. I've found out in Precure.
All right, I'm gonna be that guy. We've been talking about just the story for like an hour.
Yeah. Do you want to go to characters?
We could sit here and gush all day.
You're itching to talk about the characters.
I love the fucking. You know what sucks is because like the characters are my favorite part of the show, and it's literally the only place I have a nitpick because most of the cast is so well done. Like almost every single girl in this cast has an arc and a moment, and they have more than one. So you get to revisit them and their characters and how they've grown. And then you have Saya.
Oh my god!
Yep.
Thank you.
Curon
Like,
herself.
I mean, like, because she's so, like, her struggle is so interesting, but it's so played down in comparison to the rest of the cast. Mm-hmm. And it feels like she's there to be the pretty blue one, and we don't get to do a whole lot with her. We could have so much fun with her. She obviously loves power tools. Show me some more of that.
I wrote that down in my notes. She likes power drills, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, she likes power tools and like technology and stuff, but it's only like used
comical effect.
It's like a gag and stuff. It's never really explored.
I want to know why. Tell me why, show.
Yeah, that was the one gripe I had too, where I was just like, huh, I mean, you have Saya with her acting, but you only give her like I'd say maybe a handful or so episodes dedicated to her, whereas Hana and Homare and all of them have way more episodes.
Yeah, it felt like her arc was very like haphazardly put together and was thought of more of as like a side thing as compared to how all the other girls were treated. Yeah, I was very equally disappointed in that.
Yeah, I kind of saw it coming because this is sort of a thing with like the sort of polite like blue girls. For some reason, I don't know why, the polite blue ones just never get
fully developed,
fully fleshed out character arcs for some reason. but which sucked because I loved her design. I thought, she was really pretty and everything. I always like when they have a Precure whose thing is like, hey, I'm the shield. I'm the Captain America. And then she doesn't get a whole lot of stuff, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I always kind of root for those cures at the beginning because I'm like, man, I hope they actually like do something with them. And
they don't.
Unfortunately, Hugtto does not break that trend.
That sucks.
But the rest of the characters.
The rest of the characters are all really good.
They're all so good. Like, I loved Hana from the moment I met her. I love that she's stupid enough to try and cut her own bangs. I did that as a kid. I loved how excited she was to take on the world. I loved that she wanted to be an awesome One-sama. I loved how much she kicked ass. I loved how she always cheered on her friends. And I love that for her character, I guess I'll just go ahead with my favorite character because I'm already talking about her. I like that her whole thing is she loves to cheer people on. And then towards the beginning of the show, they have this moment, and then it's brought up again later, like where somebody asks, like, do you realize that you cheering for people sometimes is putting unneeded pressure on them? Mm-hmm. And you need to be careful. Like, I know this is a powerful instrument that you use, but you need to know when is the right time to use it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hana's pretty good.
I also love, there was one moment in one episode where she's fighting an Oshimida, and like she also knows that her friends are going through a hard time behind her as well. So she turns her back to the fucking Oshimida she's supposed to be fighting and starts cheering them on mid-fight. And I just love that. As it's just like slowly walking towards her again.
I also agree. I think Hana is a great character and a phenomenal lead. I was worried, just because she's like the lead and the main, that I wouldn't feel very compelled to her, but she's great. I felt a lot of things for her. You could really see how she's the glue in her friendship group. And as I went through the show, I was just so like humbled by the idea, just kind of her little catchphrase. You know how they all have the catchphrases? Cheer on the world. It's just such a powerful message. And like whenever she said that, like my heart just like swelled with joy. And the thing is, she would do that for other people, but also for herself. And I think being able to also cheer yourself on takes so much strength. So she's so motivating.
And
I love her
I
so
love
much.
I love how Cammy words things.
I know, right? I'm gonna cry.
I try.
And yeah, but that glue of the group part, there were moments where she was comparing herself to her friends and like, oh, they've all got they all know what they want to do. They all have these bright futures ahead
and
and
aspirations.
Their goals in mind. And what do I have? I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And everyone else, it like cuts to everyone else, and at some point every one of them says like, no, I love how she's like so optimistic and is just there for us when we need to, and like, it's like they admire you just as much as you admire them.
Oh, okay. One credit to Saya. She had one of my other favorite lines in the show, and I'm going to butcher it because I can't exactly remember it, but it was basically like, you can do things that I can't, and I can do things that you can't. And that, that is valuable. That is an important thing. That is a special thing. And again, I was just like, God damn it. This is so beautiful.
Yeah. I also don't want to give the impression that Saya's like bad.
No, she's not. She just didn't get the love and care that everybody else did. It's just a shame.
She's just underdeveloped, I think.
So. Underdeveloped and underutilized, but she is still a good girl. She's still a good character.
So Craig, how about your favorite character?
I'm gonna go with Homore for 400, aka Cure Atoll, the Precure of Strength. I was more like, man, she's got a pretty cool design. She's got stars. By the by, star Precures are all the rage for me. I like them a lot. And this girl is an ice figure skater, and I like how her arc, essentially, as it goes throughout the entire show, basically, and I'm not going to spoil how it all ends, but damn, I was impressed how it was all handled and how she has essentially a rival in figure skating and how she basically gets back out there on the ice.
Like her arc, well, the start of her struggle is that they're back before the start of the series, isn't it? It was like she had a major fall on the ice or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, she was part of the ice skating like team or whatever at her school, and then she like fell, hurt her leg.
That was it, yeah.
Really,
and then she completely lost her confidence after that, and
she lost all motivation and everything, and so
Homode is just very cool because like it's a lot to do with your injury may have healed, but your internal emotions may not have.
Yes.
And I don't want to ruin it, but there is a moment with her first Precure transformation that fucked me up when she first has that opportunity to reach up and become someone more powerful, and then the aftermath of what happens, and if she chooses to, go through with it or not, or even if she can, that messed me up.
Homode has like one of the strongest like just beginnings to any arc in like the entire series, and I'd argue in most of like out of Magical Girls in general, just the beginning of her arc like is just incredibly strong and well done.
Yeah. No, I loved Homade, and I felt a lot for her throughout her arc, and there were just times that I was watching, and then this show was interesting because there were times that I cried, but there were so many more times that I just like teared up and was like swelled with emotions, and I would just be like, "Oh, you're a good girl" with Homer. I was like, "Homer, you're such a good girl."
And because she had such a strong start, and like Hannah's and Saya's involvement with that start of her arc, when another character came in, just their attitude towards Homare really pissed me the fuck off. And just they become better, but when they that character first got introduced, I really did not like them. But I'll go into that later.
Yeah.
So I guess that just leaves me, Cammy, and John.
Yeah.
For characters.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys basically have a unit to talk about. So.
We do.
We do.
Two parts of the same coin. Two halves of the same coin.
They complete each other.
I know Precure.
Nano death.
God. Oh God. Just okay. Like I was very much enjoying this show, but as soon as Emiru and Lulu popped into the scene,
it it's like a complete. It's like up. Just
yes.
The enjoyment factor, like it's not like a steep like hill or anything. It's just straight up when they pop up. It's like, all right,
yes.
Best characters are here.
Yes. And they're a unit. I think that has to be said for any. Like we are talking. Are a unit. We are talking about Lulu and Emiru, and they are strong and incredible, like as characters, but also just together as a unit.
Yeah. Also, I just.
They are the best girlfriends.
Yeah.
Also, I don't totally have a bias for robot girls.
No, not at all. No.
Not at all. No.
No. Lulu's own little arc fucked me up.
I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The like first conclusion to Lulu and Emiru's arc, there's a scene like where they're sitting outside of like the treehouse or something.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was the cry. I fucking cried. Oh God.
Me and Cassie both fucking cried at that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. God.
They sing songs to each other.
Yeah.
They do.
How gay.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
And on Emiru's part, when her brother was like, "You're a girl. Girls don't play guitars." I was like, "Fuck you. Girls playing guitars are badasses."
Yes. Yes. I enjoy Emiru a whole lot. Initially, it was just for her character design, 'cause she's fucking adorable. Twin tail girl.
Mhm.
Yes, please.
She is adorable.
And then she also has her little like verbal tick with nanodes, and that's amazing. And she's just so good. She's very caring. She works very hard. She's very determined. The fact that a lot of her motivations are surrounding music is something that I really enjoyed and could relate to. And yeah, I loved her throughout, and I did find like her bond with Lulu to be one of the most compelling parts of the series for me.
Yeah, my favorite character is also Emiru, and I was pretty much sold on her when she came out dressed in like fucking like elbow pads and pads, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a hero. I'm gonna be a preacher."
The makeshift Precure outfit.
I'm like, that's my girl. That's her. She's my baby. But yeah, she's. And then she also just likes like monsters movies and stuff. Like she's just a fucking dork.
Yes.
And that appeals to me on a personal level. So yeah, she's just good and wholesome and just such a wonderful, like, enjoyable character. She's always making all these funny faces, and she just has so much life in her. I adore her. She's great.
I've got Lulu as my as my favorite character. The stories where robots like develop hearts of their own and start actually feeling proper emotions fuck me up every single time. And just when Lulu's also like people that are on the bad side becoming good as well. Just so many things I just love rolled up into one character with Lulu. And then there was the relationship that built up between Lulu and Emiru, and it's just so much good right there. And just
yeah, I love that they're in love. That's all I'm.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
that they share a compact. I love that they transform together. I love that they are that they have to have each other to even become what they want to be.
And
I
they are a
think that's
unit.
really
And
good.
I love
is
that
so good.
mid-transformation they give each other a little hip bump.
Yep.
It took
they
me
like
a bit to
almost
notice
kiss, and they just.
Thethere's like cheek nuzzling and
Yeah.
hearts and
Oh god,
It's really gay.
it really is.
It's that prime gay shit.
as
right
like-
there.
it's not even coded. It's just very
No.
blatant.
it.
There's,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
even
good.
their cure names are friggin' love, essentially.
Machete
and
and
Amour.
Amour, yeah.
Yep.
And they make a giant heart out of their arms with like mid-transformation as well.
It's cute.
They hold
It's really
hands
cute.
and make heart.
They are beautiful and they are in love, and I love them so much.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Like if Hana didn't, I had a really hard time when I finished the show because I was like, who's my favorite Hana?
Yeah,
or
she had
Lulu.
an internal
Or Hana?
like
Battle.
battle.
Yeah, because I loved them both dearly, and then I was just like, you know what? Too many people dog on Hana. I love her so much. She's my fave.
Who in the hell dogs on Hana? Can I punch them?
There's a lot of people that do. I mean, I'll talk about it in spoilers, but a lot of people don't like who she ended up with. A lot of people don't like that the last image you get of her is a very specific one.
Yep.
So on and so forth.
They're
I-
dumb.
I have feelings regarding that, but not enough to dog on Hana. Hana's still a really good girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't go into any details. I'm just going to say that the show has amazing side characters as well.
I was about to,
Yep.
about to say that too. Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite far being Henri, and that's all I'm going to say. But everything
Yeah.
regarding that character just blew me away, and I love it.
Henry, Masato got better he
He
got better as the show went on.
Oh, okay.
There was a pair of girls, I can't remember their name, but they get a central
Yes!
episode, which was, I think it was like episode 16, and it's one of the best episodes in the entire show.
Yes.
Just not even just because of what it shows and the values and so on, but just it's beautifully animated. It's like one of their Sakuga episodes for no fucking reason. But they have a spat, like the two friends have a spat, and they realize, how to get over it together, and that it empowers one of the other girls, and it's just very good. It was a wholesome little romp. So even the ones that I can't remember the names of were pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone's a Precure, guys. Just remember that deep inside.
Everyone has
And-
a Precure in their heart.
It just, we said it before, but like even the bad guys are memorable.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have,
Interesting.
like, even when they're beaten, they're just like, okay, yeah. So, like Charlotte, the extra boy,
Yes!
Popple, like the talent agent, the guy with the killer goatee, Dr. Trom.
Dr.
They have
Dr.
the-
Trom, man.
Yeah, it can't be understated that the villains aren't just like entertaining or fun. They also have like character arcs and they develop and
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. So
And
which
they become supportive.
which is unusual for not only this series but I think also this type of show.
Yeah.
So
There's some prime father-daughter moments.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Non-traditional family dynamics, this show also touched on a few times, and I just loved it. So good.
He's good. He's good. He is good.
So you want to move on to production?
Speaking of good.
Oh my god. Some of the Sakuga in this anime is just so Sakuga.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's-
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm just remembering there's this one fight scene Hana has where she flips into the air and she comes down with her pom-poms and just bashes the living shit out of one of the Oshimidas. I loved it. It was in like episode 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah. And the
And
ground
it was
literally
so
breaks.
It was so good. And most of Homade's episodes are really, and these are towards the beginning of the show. And then they sprinkle this this nice, I mean the show itself almost always looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But they have these moments of just oh well they hired somebody.
Yeah.
Moments.
Yeah. It's funny because this is as long as you pick a relatively good season to start out with, it's always funny hearing people talking about their first Precure show and being amazed that it looks as good as it does.
Yeah.
Because it's a 50 episode show by Toei Animation for children. So most people going into this, and I think most people listening to this who are I've never watched a Precure, it probably doesn't look that great. Just listen to everyone here, that hasn't watched a Precure before this, talk about how well animated a lot of parts of this show is.
Very
particularly
consistent.
the action. Yeah. Because it's not an exaggeration or anything. These shows generally a lot. I've heard people, particularly in the Sakuga community, call Precure the Toei playground for animators because that's just where they get all these different animators, both in house and outside, to come together and just show off what they can do.
To that point, as soon as Cassie said Sakuga, I went on Sakuga Boru, and there are 6 pages tagged under Hugtto Precure of clips. So,
Yep.
there you go. Take that as you will. And if you want to see bits and pieces, check it out.
And you know what? This just goes to show that people, and I mean, I even listened to a pretty well known and liked anime podcast who shall remain nameless, but in a recent episode said, "Oh, it's Toei Animation. It's bad. It's poo poo." But no, the Toei can do some really good shit.
And I'm really
Toei
glad
has
they're
some really talented people.
Mm.
and I'm glad they're pouring it into Magical Girls.
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
Putting it where it matters.
Damn right.
Fuck Dragon Ball and One Piece. It's all down to Precure at this rate.
I think there's a difference between a 50 episode show and a 100 plus
and,
episode
and,
show.
and 900.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
That said, one of the regulars who often does really good stuff for Precure also generally works on both One Piece and Dragon Ball. So there's a lot of people coming and going from all different parts of Toei's output that work on this. It's just Precure, when it's good,
It's
generally
good.
gets a lot of really well-known and talented people to work on it.
Do you want to know the staff of this production then?
Craig's Credit Corner! Craig's
Yeah,
Credit
go ahead.
Corner!
Director Junichi Sato and Akifumi Zako. Junichi Sato directed Princess Tutu. I'd mentioned this previously way back when. And Akifumi has really only directed the Go Princess Precure movie. The writer, which Dom mentioned earlier, is a female. Fumi Subota, first major show, wrote random episode scripts for Takagi-san and Kira Precure a la mode. The music, which I found really interesting about this one, it was done by Yuki Hayashi, which did Kira Precure a la mode, My Hero Academia, Haikyuu, and Run with the Wind.
Wow.
And Gundam Build Fighters.
Yep.
You got some good fucking music right there. Yes, you do. Yes, you
Yes,
do.
you
That's
do.
that's the funny thing about it is he got brought on for Kira, and I remember there was like a lot of hype about that because he did like a bang up job on Gundam.
Yep.
I heard he did really well on Haikyuu. I haven't listened to it, but I hear he did a good job there.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of music in both Kira and this show particularly that have stood out to me.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I was, there are past seasons that have had one of the like mainstays who was working on Precure like literally up until this guy got on, has done quite a few tracks that I've been a fan of.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a whole lot with these two shows.
I just remember the opening, ending, and the transformation song.
I
Yeah.
loved the music that Lulu and
Yes.
Emiru made together.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, there's
Yeah.
I
that song.
think that all of those were memorable. They even sprinkled pieces of it in like kind of like a what's it called? Like without vocals, like throughout the
Montage.
show when they
A
were there.
leitmotif.
And I think that the music within the action scenes was always really good.
Yeah.
I think that those were the standout points for music for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Like, when they were in battles and did their attacks and stuff, I mean, it gave me the exact same feeling that, like, when I was 7 years old watching, like, a Sailor Moon battle, like, it was that sort of same rush and good feelings. And yeah, the song that, like, the acoustic one, I think, for me is my favorite.
That's the
between
word.
Lulu and Emiru. Yeah. Whew. That one's beautiful, and I will cry if I hear it.
Also, I don't know if they managed the opening and ending music. I don't know who did that music, but I loved all of that shit.
Mm.
Those were
Yeah, the
earworms.
ending songs are really good.
They were all earworms. I loved them. The opening, that was the same all the way through. Both endings. Precure at Smile, bitches.
Yeah, I do think my favorite of the three was the second ending. Like, I really love that one so much. And I wanted to do the dance, and I tried to sing it, but I couldn't. It was great.
Yes, more cheerful. Yes, more.
Yes, more.
This is completely off topic, but there are these little girls that do the dances of the endings, and I watch them like on repeat when I found them. I'm going to find them and post them later.
Ooh,
You can
please
edit this
do.
part out, Greg, but I just want to find them and send them to people.
Please. That would be good. I thought all the voice acting was great. Especially big props to Hana. I think
Yep.
she had some great emotional vocal delivery.
Mm.
It's from
She
what
had
I've-
some screaming delivery that was really well done, especially in her fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
It's
Hana,
actually
baby girl, you so good.
Precure as a whole, from what I've actually gleamed and looked into, actually strikes an interesting balance of finding fresh talent and veteran voice actresses for all of their shows. Like Heartcatch has John and Dom's waifu,
Nana
and
Mizuki.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. While like Cure Marine is like a relatively unknown person, so.
Yeah, there's always new people and there's always like really prolific people.
Mhm.
There's always a good spread. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Lulu is voiced by Yukari Tamura, and
Yeah.
Yukari Tamura and Nana Mizuki were Nanoha and Fate, respectively, in Nanoha.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, I thought I recognized Lulu's voice actress. She sounded like someone who was prolific. That's really cool.
also Yamada in
Bigata HK?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Mm,
Nice. And all of the character designs and the Cure designs I really liked. They were nice.
yeah,
Yeah, the character designer was
I did not write that down.
I can't remember. I should remember her name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. She also did previously Smile Precure and Yes 5 Precure.
Oh, right. Yeah, I do remember
Yeah.
Suki saying that.
Yeah, so she's like a series veteran, I guess.
Yeah.
And her designs are always just really pleasant, easy on the eyes.
Yeah.
Really colorful. She's great. I like her. I used to own her art book.
Oh wow, nice. And I think the last bit that I appreciated, and again, this is probably just a first Precure watch thing, but I was really glad that they did the like, you have multiple power-ups and like, you know, extra special transformations and like extra special moves. You know, that's something that I loved from like Sailor Moon and stuff, and so I just got super hyped every time it was like, oh, there's a new one. Look at the new like bracelet or shit, and then it's like, ooh, now they have veils. Now they have fairy wings. Oh god, it was so good.
Toshie Kawamura.
Oh yeah, Toshie Kawamura. There you go.
I was
Thank
just
you.
looking up. Oh, him. I can't tell. Someone with long hair. It's a small picture.
Yeah, anything else to say on production?
I'm good.
It all around it was just really amazing. I was very
It's
impressed.
really good.
Very
it
clean.
was my first Precure show that I watched all the way through, and I think that it left a really good impression, especially in regards to production and everything else. But I was amazed that Toei made something so great. I think lots of other people should watch Precure shows so they can experience the same.
Yeah, watching this has made me want to go back and actually restart and finish Heartcatch, yeah. Because I was enjoying it, I just lost track of it.
We're converting everyone, Craig.
Slowly but surely they will all
Everyone
fall
is
like
being
dominoes.
I don't think I'm gonna watch every Precure.
You say that
Say that now.
Soon the bug will bite and you'll be in for the long haul.
To be fair,
Also, there is a part of me that's kind of tempted to give Futariwa Precure another shot, because I did try that one a long time ago.
you should just stick with Fresh and go Princess Precure. Just saying.
Okay.
That's a good shit.
If you
But
want
yeah.
the good Precures, you have some experts here who can give you some ideas if you don't want to watch them all. They know the good ones.
They'll probably try and get me to
But
watch
yeah,
them all
so-
anyway, though.
I mean, that is all on you. I can't control whether you're gonna watch 3 or 4 seasons and then you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll just watch the other,
12.
10 or 12. Because that's what happened to me. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna check out, the ones that look really good, and then 2 years later, I'd watched over 600 episodes of Precure.
That's the exact same thing that happened to me. I said, well, I watched 2 of them already. Great, I guess we're here now.
Yeah.
This is what addiction looks like.
Yep.
I still need to watch all of
But yeah.
Gundam, finish watching all of Gundam before I watch all of Precure.
Or do you?
I was about to
No,
say.
you don't.
Not all of it. I've already decided I'm never gonna watch all of Rico ONG, but there's other series in Gundam that I have been meaning to get to and finish
One
Yeah.
day.
one day.
One day you'll get there.
But yeah, do you all want to move on to ratings?
Let's do it.
Oh, God, do I?
All right. Let's get on with it then. How about Craig?
Craig gets to go last because he passed it.
Oh.
Way back
okay.
when.
Shit.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like I passed it.
Yeah,
It was Craig.
I keep thinking you passed it.
I actually
No,
thought
it
it was
was
Cassie
Craig.
that passed it for a bit. I was like, oh no,
Yeah,
it was
this
Craig.
was this
I
was
know.
a time where I passed it and only Cass was really interested, and then Cass decided to
Convert everyone.
fucking fall deeper than I even did, and I'm like, okay, I guess, yeah.
Okay, then Cammy.
Oh, okay, sure. It's, again, I think just because of how huge and like spectacular and just like complex this show is, it's really hard to summarize it. So short and sweet, I fucking loved this show. This show was just nothing that like I couldn't have expected how much I would love it coming back out of it. It simultaneously made me, it resonated with me as an adult, and it also like awakened my 7-year-old heart that used to like scream Moon Prism Power when I was watching Sailor Moon, like just being in awe of like these good, like hope and joy for the future and these good girls. I think its messages are contemporary and they're powerful and they need to be seen. I think as a magical girl show, it hits on all cylinders. And again, I'm just saying, if you like magical girl shows, you have to give this show a watch. It has also sparked my interest in checking out some more Precure. I don't have plans to watch all of it, but definitely Heartcatch Precure is the next show that I plan to watch. And this one's going to stay in my heart for a long time. So there you have it.
Woot.
Woot. There we go. All right. Cassie.
Obviously, you should burn this show. No,
Yeah, that makes
totally.
sense.
you should burn it with the raging fire of the love that I have for
Aw.
the show.
Did you just try to reference Gundam?
No, I did not.
No, that would never be intentional for her.
No, not even a little bit.
God damn it.
I for a long time I still do love magical girls, but for the longest time I loved magical girls, and then I got led astray a little bit by Madoka Magica and was like, you know what? I love magical girls, but do you know what I love more? Dark magical, gritty magical, yeah. And then I realized all the rest of them are terrible. And then I started watching Hugtto Precure almost as a joke. Because I knew that Dominic really loved it, and I knew Craig really loved it, and I was like, eh.
Wait.
I didn't go in it with a lot of like feelings or thoughts or whatever. I just was like, oh, this is a Precure that I think looks interesting, and wouldn't it be funny if I watched it and actually ended up liking it? Like, wouldn't that be so funny? And then it was. Well, the joke's on me because I'm in love with the show. It's so good. The production is so good. The characters are so good. The story is so good. It brings a lot of stuff to the table that even Precure shows before it have not done, from what I've been told, by the masters of Precure in the same room. So nobody's telling me to hold up, so I guess I'm not wrong. It goes that extra mile in really delivering messages that are apt for children today, and not just children in Japan. I think what's great about Precure is it's so universal. This is a show that I think children anywhere could latch onto and find a lot of hope and dreams in, and just feel like they're empowered and loved, and I love it so much. And I can't even give a really good review. I can kind of sort of understand why Cammie doesn't want to review shows she really loves.
It's so hard.
Because it's like, because I know nobody's really going to bash Hugtto Precure, but I just can't even put fully into words like how I feel about this show. So I'm just going to shut up and let somebody else take some time and maybe say things that I was trying to say, but better. Hugtto Precure is really good. I love it. It's one of, if not my favorite magical girl show. You guys should watch it, and hopefully you'll fall equally in love with it like I did and fall really, really hard. That's all I got.
All right.
Hell yeah.
That was a gush. That's a solid. I give that a solid gush at a gush. So yeah, John.
All right.
You're up.
So yeah, I initially wasn't going to watch this, and then Cassie sort of made me watch episode 1 with her at one point, and then it really caught my attention. I was like, you know what, I'll watch a few more episodes and see how I feel about it, and proceeded to watch almost 18 episodes in one go. Over a short period of time anyway, and then...
Look at you go.
Yeah.
Look at you go.
I had previously tried watching Untitled Precure. Didn't really have any interest in it. And then some other friends got me watching Heartcatch. But then I got distracted from watching that and fell off. But I was enjoying that. So I wasn't completely opposed to watching this in the first place, but I'm really glad I did. I wasn't expecting to have so many gut punch feelings from this series. I wasn't expecting
You
it.
weren't expecting to fucking cry?
I was not expecting to cry anywhere near as much as I did over this series. Yeah. There are episodes of this that fucked me up. Because yeah, I ended up getting so attached and enjoying this so much. Lulu in particular had a lot to play with that, but even Hana and Hamare, and they all managed to get tears out of me at the end. Maybe not so much Saya, but not so much Saya's fault, just underutilized. Yeah. And again, I end up caring for characters that I didn't think I was gonna care for, like the fucking bad guys. Like, what? We're supposed to just punch you in the face and be done with it. Not supposed to care about you afterwards. We do, and it's just such good storytelling, such good writing, and just it's so good. I loved it in the end. So yeah, there you go.
All right, I guess it's my turn. Since Craig has to go last. Yeah, Hugtto is great. I was kind of getting disillusioned with Precure for a little while. My favorite show came out 2015, and then after that there were a few seasons where I just wasn't feeling it. My passion started to dip, and I was like, maybe this is it for me. Maybe it's time to move on.
You're never done.
But then Hugtto came along, and it blew my expectations out of the water. It kind of brought forth everything that I really love about Precure back to the forefront. And also, I will basically watch this alongside Cassie. We watched I believe most of it together.
We watched all of it together, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, and then so just kind of watching her go through it, even though she broke my heart before and kind of was not super into my favorite show. watching this with her and seeing her be so excited about it, and like so enthusiastic, kind of like revived that that love that I had for Precure within me. So yeah, Hugtto is a wonderful show. I think I basically agree with both Cammy and Cassie that I think if you like magical girls, you're remotely interested in magical girls, particularly like an actual magical girl show and not like the other shit that is just sort of like, oh, what if magical girls were edgy? like an actual like true to form magical girl show, then by all means, please give this show a shot. Like, I know there are a bunch of more like mainstream options out there. I really think you should give Hugtto Precure a look, because it does so many things that a lot of other magical girl shows simply aren't doing or didn't do. And yeah, it's good, and I think there's something that pretty much anyone can take away from this show. So yeah, I love this show.
Yeah.
And I guess I have to give the recommendations. My general recommendation is, if you like this show, you should check out other Precure shows. I personally think Heartcatch used to be like the go-to like entry point for pretty much everyone for like a really long time. It's got a wonderful art style. It's got great sakuga. It also deals with some pretty fucking rough topics.
Yep.
It gets pretty raw at times. Good music, just all around. Heartcatch Precure is really good. My personal favorite is Go Princess Precure. It deals a lot with, like dreams and your goals in life and, careers, like what do you want to do when you're older, that sort of thing, and like facing like realistic expectations for that sort of stuff. Again, also has amazing fights.
Yep.
And just good characters. Is a good show. But yeah. Also, if you like Precure, you will probably like Aikatsu. That's just it's almost a given. So if you like this sort of thing and you're like, what else other than Precure out there can I look for? Maybe try Aikatsu. It's pretty good.
Awesome.
Craig?
All right, Craig.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you Hugtto Precure, the show that I passed in the winter season of 2018. I took a gamble on this one because I didn't know necessarily how everyone here would react to it. Apparently, everyone fucking loves this show. I went back and actually looked to see how many shows of Precure I completed while watching Hugtto in real time. I watched 6 Precure series in that year span, so that's a lot of magical girls punching bad guys each week. Overall, I just short, sweet, to the point. I love this show. As all of my co-hosts have said, this show is a tentpole in Toei's animations like department. It caters to not only girls but boys. It has raw sakuga. It's progressive. It has like good themings, good enjoyable villains, and that is a mark of a good Precure show in the sea of 15 years worth of content. Just can't be stated how much fun this is and how like wholesome it is on as a whole. So just, yeah, as everyone has said, just give it a shot and don't let the baby deter you. There are far worse babies out there, and good lord, man, like, again, just want to incap it. It's progressive, and so much so that Star Twinkle is even progressive in some facets as well. So, yeah.
One thing that we forgot to lean into really hard, and I think deserves to be in the rating section, is if you're looking for an LGBTQ show, this has a lot of really blatant messages in regards to that. So if you're looking for a show with representation, it's there. You got to sit for a while to get to it, but it's blatant and it's good. And
it is worth it. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. It is worth it. Once you get to that point in the show.
Yeah, particularly if you are trans or non-binary, anything like that, this show has stuff in there for you, representation for you that I think a lot, even just in anime in general, that you won't find in a lot of other places. Mm-hmm. And it's positive and it's uplifting, and I can't recommend it enough if that is something that you are looking for and matters to you.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we are going to move on into spoilers. But before that, I'd like to get our social links taken care of. You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. We have an email where you can send us fan mail, tell us how we're doing, ask us about our day, anything, and we will read it on here for you. AnnieChatmail@gmail.com. You can listen to us on a lot of different platforms if you have something that you prefer. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We also have a Patreon where you can donate to us and it'll help improve our podcast. We recently got new mics for everyone here.
Yeah.
They all match. So that was thanks to our patrons. Our Patreon is www.patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. And our current patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul, help us keep the lights going. So thank you to them.
Woot.
In addition, our our very own Craig is also on another podcast called Save Our Podcast. Save Our
podcast.
Save Our Podcast.
Save our podcast.
Please, we need help.
Please.
They need help.
Really
Save
do.
Our Progress. You can find them over at soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. They talk about a variety of things. They also have an anime movie night where every month Craig, Zach, and occasionally other people, such as myself or Cammy or anyone else comes on and talks about the anime of the month.
Yep.
So if you're interested in that, head on over and give them a listen.
We talked about
But
Ghost in
for-
the Shell.
They did. Don't do that. But yeah, so we're gonna go on to spoilers. So if you do not wish to be spoiled, you can get on out of here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Trom's name means dream.
Yep.
Daughter
Traum
moments.
In
Mm.
German. Yeah,
It's
dream.
it's fucking adorable.
Oh, I did
Mhm.
not know that. I should know that, but I didn't know that.
I think he said it.
Can I acknowledge the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
There's an
So
actual
how
elephant.
how did everybody feel about the final episode and the ending and Hana having a baby for 2 minutes and Lulu being reset and all of the things that they shoved into the last episode that a lot of people have problems with?
Okay. So when I first watched it, wasn't a fan of the 2-minute birth thing. Still not a fan of that. Think that could have been downsized significantly.
Do you think that it would have been fine if they didn't show her having the birth?
I think they could. I think they could have shown her giving birth.
Okay.
I think that's fine. I just don't understand why it had to be 2 minutes long.
I think for me, I appreciated it because the entire show, while it did represent motherhood really well and it showed it as empowering, it also kind of unrealistically made it seem like this amazing thing. So it was kind of nice to see them show, hey, by the way, guys, giving birth is actually really terrifying and painful. And
Yeah, they previously romanticized it with every Saya episode when she went to the hospital, and I'm like,
I disagree. I think the C-section episode was well
oh,
addressed.
okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that for the most part, they did a really good job of representing motherhood, but most of the actual birthing was off screen.
Yeah, that was it.
So I think that them actually showing it, now that I've stepped away and I'm not so in defensive mode of Hana, because after the show aired, or this ending episode aired, I dealt with a lot of seeing it on my timeline of people saying, oh, they ruined Hana's character in the last episode. Oh, she's with the guy, and oh, he's awful, and oh my god, age gap, and blah, 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 blah. Now that I've had time to calm down, I do think that they could have made it a little bit of a shorter scene. But I think that it's fine that it's there. And I think the reason why it was so long is because they tried to do that thing where they sprinkled in what everybody else was doing while Hana was giving birth. And, in hindsight, maybe they could have done that a little differently. But I think it being there was fine.
Yeah, I don't... At first, I was like, no! How could they do this?
No!
How could they do this on Precure? But now that I've stepped away and I've had, months to think about it, I mean, I think it's fine that it's there. I just remember being like, why is this so long?
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of thinking,
Yeah,
I don't think it had to be that long, but...
I was initially
really-
shocked that they actually did go there, but I'm not upset that they did. Just pleasant to be surprised they did. But yeah, it does feel like they lingered on that scene for a bit longer than they needed to. But I suppose
I just remember seeing scuttlebutt about the fact that Hugtto was actually her daughter, and people were just like,
I kind
why?
of called it from the fucking beginning, to be honest.
Yeah,
That
that
was really obvious.
It
was
Oh yeah,
funny.
I called it from episode 1, but I just
I called
remember
it pretty early on, too, and Dominic was like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first I didn't want to believe it, but it's once you get to halfway, 3/4 in, it's pretty obvious that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as there's that episode about like Hana's arc, and then Hugton calls Mama, which I cried when that first happened. But
When
then it's
George
like,
shows up properly.
then it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I could easily see this happening.
And then I
like,
started going like, okay, so Hana's Hugto's mom, who's the dad? And then we saw that
George.
fucking picture, and I was like, oh, okay.
that
I like him.
That I think I also caught pretty, like, that didn't catch me by surprise. Like, as scenes leaned in, I was like, okay, he is in love with Hana from the future. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, please don't make me have feelings about
I think
this.
I remember. I think I remember calling that for a while, and I think that was one of the things I think I called before Cassie did.
Yeah. Because I was just like, okay, I can see that. Because my theory was, Hana reminds him of somebody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
because
I was like, nah, that is.
And then, like, later I was like, okay, all right, you're okay, we each got one, it's fine. But yeah, I didn't see that coming, but I was fine with it. Like, that's another thing that, like, blew up. And people were like, oh my god, he's so bad, and oh my god, he's way too old for her. And I'm like, he's from the future.
Also,
he didn't date her when she was 12.
Also, he's from Go on.
She has a baby when she's 30. I need you all to calm down.
Also, he's from a timeline that's gone bad, and she supposedly, not actually said, implied, she died. So that's his reason. He fucking is depressed and wants the world to be in a happy moment to freeze time. So, realistically, yeah, he's old because he's from the future.
And
Exactly.
And I feel like, look, the show does not, in my opinion, from what I recall, the show does not sexualize little girls. If you are purporting like that, you're thinking that's because that's you. That's like your lens because you've seen sexualization of little girls happening so much that you're finding this a problem. The show does not overtly do anything to make their relationship seem creepy.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of my thing. Don't shit on the show for it just because you're, desensitized.
I just remember always laughing about the fact that George was standing in the rain. He just looked. He just stood in the rain without an umbrella, and Hana's like, "What are you doing?"
He's so extra in his depression.
Because I was watching with Suki at the time, and me and her were just like, "Oh, look, it's her favorite hobo man."
Hobo man.
With his books and his flowers.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
He's just very sad.
He's a sad man. I mean, hey, if Hana was my wife and I lost her, I'd be pretty, fucking depressed too.
Yeah,
He's great.
I think the only thing in the ending that did genuinely upset me, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about, is the situation between Emiru and Lulu. I wasn't very pleased with the resolve of their plot.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating how they completely they you'll probably go into it in a minute, but you told me on the side, like, it kind of completely changed their dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it turned it into something more like sisters or a mentor when they were, I think we all addressed, like, explicitly, romantically, like, in love with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't like that shift because it seems to erase everything that was so strong about their relationship before.
Yeah, it's like, come on, Precure, you can at least commit where you did good. Come on.
Basically to a point where you have to rebuild the whole connection / arc with the two girls to begin with. Also, don't know why she's a little girl rather than her age she was when before she time traveled, but maybe that's Dr. Trom's daughter was that age at the time. I don't know, it's weird. Like, it was cute, but also at the same time, time travel, time shenanigans.
Yeah. That the rest of it, yeah, it was there, and it didn't bother me that much. Like, real quickly, like, I do get uncomfortable by birth scenes, but like, it was fine. It was there. I saw the point of it.
Yeah.
And
same.
with the relationship, it was fine. It was there. I saw the point of it. I was just bummed that they couldn't give my OTP good closure that I wanted. And it's not the first time that's happened. It's like in Sailor Moon S with Sailor Saturn and Sailor Mini Moon, because it's also reverting back to like a young age and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, after
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
after-
I was
after
like,
she
they
beats
pulled a
Sparrow
Sailor
90.
Moon S.
Yeah, after she beats Sparrow 99 or whatever. Yeah, I remember
How do you
that.
guys feel about the fact that Homore really wanted to fuck a hamster?
Yeah, I'm used. This is
Yep.
This is not new for Precure.
Oh no!
Yep.
Oh no!
Happiness
Or
charge.
magical girls in general. So it was like, Homare, please, come on.
I
not
know
like
he's
this,
got
but-
shiny pants. But
Oh god, he has such shiny
Oh,
pants.
that's the funny thing. They made a Dakimakura of him.
Yeah.
Oh my
Nice.
god!
Like
He's certified hot.
Official hairy Dakimakura.
What?
He's certified
exists.
hot, guys.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to Suki about it on the side when I was watching, and I was just like, you know, this show is giving me all these like weird, complex, mixed feelings about a girl having a crush on a hamster, but I have to remember it's Junichi fucking Sato who made me ship a boy and a duck together. So you know what? This is on brand for his bullshit.
Yeah.
I think my problem was that Homore's arcs were just so good that I didn't like that her second arc was, I'm pining for a boy, that it's never gonna happen. And I think that there was some good in it, that she got rejected and she learned to move on from that. And there's a really great scene after that where she wants to cry and her friends are there and they're like, you know, it's okay to cry. And like, that's all good. But the lead up to it is just very frustrating. It's a lot of,
It is.
oh, I'm pining after something I can't have. And I don't need that here.
Also, the hamster is pining after.
Kira
Hana's-
tomorrow.
Yep, Hana's daughter.
Yeah. It's complex.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess I can kind of get because she saved him, but also she turned into a baby, and I'm like,
Well, in the future timeline, she turns back into her.
yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like he's like overtly in love with the baby version of Hugtto. He's just trying to. I don't think they ever show the scene where he was blushing over the baby.
It's like the reverse thing of that Twilight thing where the guy falls.
Oh my god,
baby.
it is. It is.
No, the imprinting. Oh, geez.
Oh no.
Ay, Dios mío.
I'm kind of sad we didn't get more scenes with Kira tomorrow. I really liked her design,
Her design was amazing.
and I just
like,
wanted to see more.
one of the power ups that they got. I was like, as it was as the animation was going the first time through, I was like, is this gonna turn Hugtto into Kira tomorrow? And it's like, oh no, Hugtto just gets a pretty dress. But
She's a flower girl. They're all wedding brides.
every time it
I
showed
love that. I don't care what anyone says.
Mm-hmm.
I did love that, but yeah, every time it showed like the white Mirai crystal glowing, I was like, is this implying that Hugtan's gonna turn back into adult, or like not adult but like older, back into a Precure again? And then that didn't happen. I was like, no. Well, not until she went actually back into the future anyway, but
Mm-hmm. So for all of the like relationships that I had like complicated feelings about, or the ones that didn't resolve, I'm super soft for Henri and Masato, and the fact that
Yeah.
Masato was able to get through his internalized homophobia, and then they're like honestly like totally together by the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
they're so
oh,
gay. It's
it
so
gives me
cute.
Yeah, they're
feelings.
super gay.
there's a scene where Henri like blows a kiss at the crowd, and you see him grab the heart at the end. It's like,
Oh god.
He looks confident when he does it too, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, they're a thing.
yeah.
Someone
Even though-
on Tumblr like did a parallel of that from like the first time when Henri blew three kisses and Masato's just flustered, to then in the future he blows one kiss and then Masato catches it. And I was like, God
If I
damn.
remember correct, Masato and Emiru's parents are even like behind Masato, and they're just kind of
Yeah.
like supporting it.
Yeah.
And the grandfather.
Yep.
It's so good.
Yeah, and Henri was the one that initially pissed me off when he came in, because his whole like
I think he's supposed
Yeah, like-
to.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't piss you off, and I think you're reading it
yeah,
wrong.
like only I can save you. Like, bitch, where were you
Mhm.
before now? You didn't get Homare back on the ice. Hana and Saya did. But at least he very quickly, it seemed, learned like to back off, and then actually became a really good character, the one that I did enjoy anytime he showed up.
I mean, even from the beginning, I think that he was a good character,
Yeah, he
because
was
the reason
a
why
good character, but,
he
like-
was acting the way he did was because he was projecting his issues onto Hamane,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is interesting. And as he grows away from that, I think it's really interesting. He's also the character where we get a lot of those non-binary
Mm.
feelings through.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and he becomes a vehicle for some representation that is grossly underutilized in media.
Kier, like that was one of the moments where I was like almost speechless. Was with Kier Anfini, like that was.
Aww.
Oh God, that was. I had a lot of feelings. That was beautiful.
I love that. And honestly, it's like, oh, great, awesome. Are they gonna have Henry or Henri fight? And I'm like, man, they didn't make him fight. I'm so sad. God damn it.
But that
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a really nice like thing that they did. It would have been better if it had been like
Continued. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
If he stayed
Al-
a Precure,
Although I will say,
or they
that-
stayed a Precure, maybe that's a
Yeah,
better way
I'm
of
not
putting it.
sure.
yeah.
I don't know if he identifies as he with he pronouns or they pronouns. I think it's he because he always referred himself as Prince. But I do recall he did transform into a Precure and whisk Masato away out a window, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, that
You get it.
that
At the end, they had matching outfits.
they did.
Ah!
But that moment
I love-
when Kraya's Corp approached him to give him the card, and he said, I was hoping the Precures would scout me. I was like, ow. I feel you there, actually.
I also really loved the everyone's a Precure
Moment-
finale
yeah.
kind of movement.
Yep.
That was neat.
It's Dom's
fucking-
it's Dom's pinned tweet to this day.
It's been my pinned tweet since that episode aired.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Very
forget.
good.
Actually, speaking of, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the All Stars crossover, which
Oh.
is canon.
I loved those
What'd y'all
episodes,
think of that?
actually.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed those
Huh?
episodes. They were fun.
Oh, that's good. I remember Cassie being like feeling kind of left out.
Yeah.
I think I'm more with Cassie in that camp. I think it was also just because it was such a stray from like the original story, and I was like very invested in like just the Hugtto storyline.
Fair enough.
But it was kind of a thing where I was like, all right, I'm kind of on the sidelines of this, but I can appreciate that this means a lot to a lot of people, and I think it really does. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the reverse of what Dominic said earlier, where they were like, oh, I was so excited to watch Cassie be so happy watching the show and be excited. It was nice to see, you know, Dominic freaking out every time like they did a very specific cameo
Yep.
or when they did like a specific move as like all the purple, or not all the purple, but all the different colored like associated colors like did like moves together and blah 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 blah. Like they were so excited. So that made it a little more fun to watch, just seeing them go, oh, I see what they did there and there and there. And it's like, good for you, honey. I'm happy for you.
It
Pat
was
pat.
it was the
Yeah.
coolest thing because I finished Fresh Precure at the time of when the crossover actually aired. So then they played the ending theme song of Fresh and the crossover. It's like, oh my god, they went that far with it. That's so cool.
Yeah, the thing is, this is the second like anniversary series. The first, like, this is the 15th anniversary Precure series,
Yep.
and then before they had Happiness Charge, which was the 10th anniversary Precure series.
Yeah.
But the only thing that Happiness Charge did to like celebrate that was like before every episode, like an old Precure would come in and be like, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm Cure so and so. Enjoy this episode," and then you would have that's all they would
Yeah.
do,
Oh, okay.
and it just felt very disappointing as like a anniversary celebration. So then they had those two episodes, and they had the episodes with Cure Black and Cure White came in
Yep.
like actually like help them and stuff. So I as a fan who has been here since not that long, but a decently long amount of time, it was like cathartic to have that experience. So I enjoyed it a lot.
On that note, apparently, when I was looking at the wiki and the trivia for the show, apparently the episode titles are references to the 15 years of Precure. I don't know how valid that is, but if that was...
I don't remember what the episode title was.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, so...
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like, I'm just a sucker for big crossover things like that in general, which is one of the reasons why I really love the Build franchise from Gundam.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't really get every reference, because this is the first Precure series I've seen all of, I did still watch a few episodes of Hugtto Precure and Heartcatch beforehand. Yeah, there was a bit of me that was a little disappointed that Heartcatch didn't get more representation in the series, but I also still love
only gotta do the new ones.
The ending that was the Hugtto opening song.
Yeah.
Actually, that
that
actually was my favorite ED to the series, but that's also partly because of the whole crossover element and the visuals to it.
Right.
More than just song. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any more spoilers they want to vent out about or discuss or?
I feel like there's so much that I could talk about, and I gotta zip my lip or we'll be here all day.
yeah.
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 I think that we got on the main things that I wanted to talk about, with people being really like jerkish about Hana's character in the last couple episodes. That really upset me. But
yeah, understand.
But overall, the show is really good. I will say the only other thing that I wanted to point out, we did point out in the show, but like when Emiru and Lulu sing that song together in the treehouse, and Lulu's little voice cracks as she's trying to learn how to sing properly, and the lyrics of the song itself, Dominic looked at me and I looked at them, and we had tears streaming down my face.
We were fucking crying.
We were like, it wasn't like, this is a couple of tears cry. It was a full-blown, like, bawling. Like, like, I had to get a pillow and, like, shove my face into it for a minute because I like, couldn't stop blubbering over this fucking episode. And and then Dominic made a post about us crying over a children's television show.
Thing is,
it was beautiful.
I was crying as well. In all honesty,
Yeah,
I was full-blown crying at that scene.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I don't think I cried.
Okay.
And that's okay.
We
cried enough for you.
I'm dead inside though, so you know.
You are, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Let me go put Inside Out on the TV real quick.
Don't. that is emotional that is emotional warfare. I do not appreciate this.
I'm gonna take a song from the Inside Out soundtrack and use it with like Hugtto Precure and just be like, Craig, hey, check
Do it.
this out.
I also feel like there was a joke that me and Cammie and Craig talked about days ago, and I just forgot what it was, and I'm really frustrated with myself. We were like, we purposely need to put this on the show. We even were talking about making it the fucking episode title, and I don't remember.
Wasn't it just
Sarazanmai.
Uso? Like, weren't we? Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
We could do that during the Sarazanmai episode.
We will. It'll be great. Speaking of shows that had episode titles that came up in the last episode, and they just went bam, 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 bam. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
I have a lot of feelings about Sarazanmai. That's a different show. Different time. Different place.
Different show. All
Hugtto
right.
Precure is so good.
Yeah.
Fure fure mina. Fure fure watashi. Ikuyo.
All right, before we explode into a crying mess of weebiness,
Kirayama, motherfucker.
I should just call it quits and get out of here,
Okay.
huh?
Let's run
All right.
with the wind.
Ooh.
Also,
That's a
also
different-
good show.
That's a different show. Stop!
Alrighty.
Please accept our resignation.
That's good.
Oshimada!
Yes.
Bye.
Stay
All right.
tuned, everybody.
Bye-bye.